Hello and welcome to Real Estate 01721. My name is Steve Greenburg and I'm here today with Pamela Bathen, and we're going to do a show about real estate here in Ashland. Thank you for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to Pam, who will give you some information about what's going on here in town.
Hello, I'm Pamela Bathen, and nice to be here. I think some of the information that we've been asked for is fabulous, and keep your questions coming. Somebody asked us recently how many homes altogether are in Ashland. Steve, you know?
I know there are close to 6,000 homes.
There are close to 6,000 homes.
Okay.
How many condos?
A lot. I think there are a lot of condos.
There are about 2,500 condos in town.
Really?
Which was a bit of a shock to me. So that's about, don't make me do the math, 40%?
It's about, somewhere between 35 and 40%.
40%.
Right.
And you know, it's interesting because it defines Ashland in some ways, and we were a little curious to know more. Before I get to that, also in those stats, what is the demographic of Ashland? What is the highest nationality reported on the census for Ashland?
Highest nationality. Well, I would assume American, but I don't think I know the answer to that question, Pam.
Irish.
Irish. Okay.
Followed closely by
Italian?
Italian.
Okay.
Followed closely by Italian and English. But I do have to say that when you look at the demographics of this town, we have every single nation represented here in Ashland. And I think that's one of the attractions of this town. And when you walk through many of these condo complexes, that's reflected, which is just wonderful. The condo complexes here are many, many. And if you think about it for a minute, they look better than in many other communities. Many communities have more of a standard apartment-style condo complex, and ours is much more in keeping with the rural feel of the town, I think. We were curious to know a little more, and so we called Fafard, which is the premier condo developer in the town of Ashland, and met with a gentleman named Jeff Fortini to talk a little bit more about it. He educated us quite a bit. Any information from you? I know that you're...
Well, the only thing I wanted to say about condominiums here in Ashland is I think we can be proud of the fact, and the developer can be proud of the fact, that a high percentage of the condominiums here in town are owner-occupied. And I think that's important not only for the town, but for the associations that come out of these condominiums when it comes to financing. And I guess the biggest thing would be pride of ownership, why places stay as attractive as they are. It's that pride of ownership.
And in keeping with the pride of ownership, how many of the roughly 2,500 condos are mortgage-free?
Mortgage-free. Again, Pam, I'm lost for words.
Stumped?
I don't know the
That's
the
why I
answer.
do this, because
Okay.
you never don't have the answer. 700, about 700 are
Okay.
mortgage-free, which is a huge percentage for any real estate market. A traditional home market would be roughly about 15%. So 700 is
700
is
out of the
quite-
2,500.
Out of the 2,500 are mortgage-free,
Okay.
which is fabulous. And yes, the owner-occupied number is very, very high. The renter number is low, which, you know, we won't get into that discussion here. But in general, the complexes are kept up beautifully.
All right, so I'll ask you a question.
Yep.
The rentals that are available, and they're few and far between.
Few and far between.
So for a 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath condominium, if someone wanted to rent one in the town of Ashland, what would you guess that the rental price on a monthly basis?
Maybe 1,800?
I think 1,800 to as high as 2,200 for some of the newer units. So that's about a mortgage payment.
That's
So,
about a mortgage payment.
But you know, there's a lot of transitioning, especially with the more mature audience, the 55 and older. And rental has been more popular since the last banking crisis. And there are some folks out there who unfortunately maybe lost their home, who need a place to live. So that's driven the price up. And you'll see more apartment construction now. And they say that has sort of capped. And in other parts of the country, although I think the demand for apartments is pretty strong here in Metro West, but in other areas of the country, they might almost be at that overbuilt stage of apartments. So it's always a trend, it's always a bubble, And like everything in real estate, it's up and down.
Well, good and bad for us, but
Right.
that's another story.
Right.
When we called Fafard to learn more about the condo complexes in Ashland, they introduced us, as I mentioned, to a gentleman named Jeff Fortini, who gave us a fabulous tour of the newest development in Ashland. And you're very familiar with that one. Do you want to talk a bit?
Well, I'm quite familiar with many of the Fafard developments here. I remember back in I think it was in the 70s, where they started construction here in Ashland, where Shaw's is now. I remember that was a place to go hit baseballs, and it was a wide open field. And I think you could buy a Fafard condominium with an unfinished second floor, somewhere between $49,000 and maybe $69,000.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, so those same units today, I think they're probably marketed at somewhere as low, the older units maybe as low as the 240s to when you get into the newer developments, maybe as high as 320, 330. So they've certainly come a long way from the 70s, as most real estate has, but it's been an interesting development process here in Ashland. That's a lot of condominiums, 2,500, based on the overall housing stock. But it's a big part of Ashland, and I think that's why we thought the viewers out there would be interested in taking a look at the new construction over at America's Boulevard.
I think so. Should we go?
Let's go. Let's go.
Jeff, thank you so much for meeting us today.
You're welcome.
These are fascinating. If you don't mind taking us through and explaining to us what you'd explain to most clients so that we see what we should see in here. You might want to start with the general outline of the complex.
Okay.
And I'll step back a bit.
It'd be my pleasure. This is just a partial of the development. This shows more of it, which you might not be able to see from that distance, but currently we're building in this area, and the yellow ones are what we have available. The red ones are already owner occupied, and the green ones are under agreement waiting to close. After that, we'll be coming across the street here and building 8 more buildings in that area. So that would be another 38 units, 36 units. And continuing over here at a later date might be another year or 2. So we'll be building in this area probably 2 to 3 more years, especially the way the market's going now, hopefully. It continues that way. We have 3 styles you can choose from. It's just for the names that we have, Coach, Super Coach, and Galleria, which are all different sizes, running from 1,700 to 2,000 square feet.
Okay. Jeff, the living room's beautiful. Do you want to talk
Thank
through
you.
a little bit about flooring, fireplace, whatever you want to talk about?
Sure. You can see that they're oak hardwood floors. The fireplace is gas. You just flip a switch and you have a fire. It also, not just cosmetics, but it also gives off quite a bit of heat, which is helpful in the wintertime. And we have a lot of windows that makes it light and bright, which their customers seem to like. Mm-hmm. And it flows right into each room. And you can see we have an opening here into the kitchen and the dining area, so that you can view what's happening in each room.
Perfect.
It gives it an open feel.
Jeff, this kitchen is beautiful. Can you tell me a little bit more about what might come standard, what is an upgrade? It's a gorgeous space.
Oh, okay. Well, Pam, everything you see in here pretty much is standard. The upgrades is from white or black appliances to the stainless steel. With that package, you get the refrigerator. In the standard package, the refrigerator is not there. And the island also is an upgrade. Other than that, everything you see is standard. The cabinets, the flooring, the lighting, and not the furniture that we got for our model here.
Okay.
And well, you can't really see how it flows into that. But it's the largest kitchen that we offer, and the other models are just a little bit smaller, but have the same appliances and amenities as this would.
And the slider onto the deck is a nice touch.
Yes, the slider is only in this model. The other 2 just have a door to the deck, but it definitely brings in more light. And the windows over here also, you can open them up to get the fresh air in, or keep them closed for the central air, which is standard also.
Excellent. Jeff, this is a different configuration than what I'm used to seeing in a lot of these. They often open together off of a triangular type hallway, is that
Right.
true? Is this different?
Yeah, more of a platform than a hallway
Okay.
in the other two styles, but in this style, we have the option of making 2 rooms out of the master room. So we need the space on this wall to put in a doorway,
Okay.
and then they wall that off and you have a continental den along with the master bedroom.
Oh, nice.
Well, Pam, this is the master bedroom suite. As you can see, it has a 2-sided fireplace that goes into the sunnery, is what we call that room, where you could put your dresser, couch, table, whatever. And it has 2 walk-in closets. There's one large one over here.
Okay.
That's like a small room.
Okay, nice.
And also another walk-in closet on this side. So more of a his and hers. And the bathroom has a soaking tub, a stand-up shower. The difference is we now put double sinks in there, but this one's a little bit older. We built this over a year ago and been using it as a model. So there have been a few small changes from this unit to the ones we're building currently.
Okay, and if this were to be, show me into the sunnery, how would this be set up if we decided to do a den out of it instead?
Right. What they would do is put a wall up here, wall this off, solid wall, so it takes away the 2-sided fireplace. And then over here, in this wall that goes to the hallway, we put a doorway in there.
Okay, so it could be an office as well?
Exactly.
Oh, how nice.
Jeff, the most exciting part of a home for any guy is the lower level.
Absolutely.
And, we're standing here in the unfinished basement. Maybe you can
Correct.
talk a little bit about it. This is a good size area. If somebody did choose to finish it off and make what, like a playroom or
Exactly.
TV room?
Family room, TV room, exercise room. I would say 90% of the buyers do have this lower level finished.
Okay.
Some will put the washer dryer in here to have more space upstairs. There is a closet that's finished over there.
Under the stairs, yeah.
Under the
Okay.
stairs. And this is one of the largest in this style. The other 2 styles we have is a little bit smaller, but still big enough to give you extra room.
Sure. And
It
the
has the slider that walks right out to the ground level
Yeah.
to your private yard area. And
Can folks put patio blocks or,
They
or
can.
whatever out there? Okay,
They
and I
can.
guess you could do your barbecue, your grill out there too if you wanted to?
yes, you can.
Okay.
As long as it's not a fixture that you can't remove.
Gotcha. Okay. And when somebody, basically you just need to drop a ceiling or do some sheetrock the walls, create access to your electrical panel and your furnace and your hot water heater, but otherwise you have a nice sized room here which
Correct.
folks can take
Absolutely.
advantage of. That's
Yeah.
a nice feature.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then this hallway back to the upstairs, there's a door on the left, and I'm just going to assume that's to the garage. That's what, a 2-car garage?
It is a 2-car garage tandem, which means one in front of the other.
Okay,
And outside, there's parking for 4 to 6 more cars.
excellent.
We're back, and thank you, Jeff. That was fascinating. In case you missed it the first time around, this is Jeff Fortini with Fafard Real Estate, who has just given us a fabulous tour of one of their models on Americas Boulevard. It is very similar to many of the Fafard designs, but the differences were pretty wonderful, like that bedroom situation on the master. However, I'll back up and let him take it away. Thank you again for that.
You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about that complex. You're running open houses, it's still under construction. Tell us a little more.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we've sold over 200 units, and like you're talking about, they are a high percentage owner-occupied. Very few rentals there. And we still have another 100 or so to build. Construction is currently going on, and we have 3 different styles that we talked about, and I think that Fafard has built most of the townhouses in Ashland, and once we're done with this development, there probably won't be any more from us in Ashland. So he said the styles are consistent over the years, decades actually, that they've been building. Yeah. And it's just the cosmetic changes and phases of what buyers actually like about ours. We take their opinions and turn it into the next phase. So even though they are very similar, they do have their differences.
You know, we can see that too.
Oh, absolutely.
We've talked about that. We can see, you know, depending upon the year the condo's been built.
Right.
You know, you go to the next phase and maybe the living room got a little longer.
Right.
Maybe the front entry was put somewhere else and made a little more decorative. You know, so it's been really interesting to watch the
Right.
transformation of them. And I think they nailed it this time myself, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's, if you don't mind me asking, Jeff, the style has changed. From personal experience, I think one of the nice improvements in many of the newer units, I remember some of the stuff that was built in the 80s. You would walk in off the porch and the door would sort of get in the way of the appliances, or the appliances would get in the way of the door. What I thought was refreshing, and I think maybe part of it is an option, but you have islands now in the kitchen. And some of the units or some of the styles have all the appliances on one wall. And what I thought was a great feature, I think in one of your, is it the Coach is the smaller unit?
Correct.
In the Coach, you have the half bath off the kitchen, but then there's a room in the back of the half bath where your laundry is on the first floor.
Right.
So I just thought the openness of the kitchen, having all those appliances on one wall and having the laundry there is a nice change. But correct me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of the style of the units is dictated by all the concrete that's in the foundation. Is that something you could speak to, or the style of the Fafard construction? In other words, unless I'm off base here, I think that the foundation comes pretty high off the ground, and that sort of dictates the style and the configuration in the units themselves.
Yes, I would agree with that. Because you start with the two-car garage that enters into the basement area, which we can finish basements in Ashland, which is a bonus because it adds more living space and makes it more usable. And then you enter into the foyer and go up the stairs. So you do have actually 4 levels, including the loft area. And it gives it more space, openness, the cathedral ceilings. One of the biggest things that have changed a lot is the windows, because it gives it the openness and light and bright.
They're bigger.
They're bigger, yes. Yeah, and we change those occasionally, just to make them a little bit different from the other ones. But they are large windows, and there's many of them. So, and moving the kitchen cabinets to one side of the wall does open it up a lot more, and it gives you room for the island and a table if you'd like in the kitchen. As far as the styles, they remain the same. The names might change a little bit, but I don't know why they do that. It's just, as you said, different
Marketing.
marketing. Yeah,
Marketing.
You don't want everything to be the same.
Be the same.
And another thing that Fafard does do is a lot of trees and shrubs and greenery.
And that goes back to the community feeling that I was
Right.
talking about in the beginning.
Exactly.
You know, when you drive through or walk through any of these communities, speaking of walking, there's people and dogs and
Right.
babies and kids, and I think it's because of the landscaping and the way that they're set up. They don't have, Army barracks feel to them.
Right.
They have a community, village feel to them, which is really nice. for us.
Absolutely.
We were talking too about, if you let me interrupt, about ownership levels in
Right.
these. And, we've seen enough of them to realize that the pride of ownership after they've been sold is very high enough so that so many are renovated, when they've gotten a few years old. They're customized to the need and the view of the buyer. Lots of hardwood goes in where maybe hardwood wasn't before. new kitchens after a few years, even though they're probably not necessary structurally, but
Right.
lots of pride of ownership in those. People love them and love them enough to spend more money on them when they get in them, which isn't necessary, but is definitely, just sends a message, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. They are active communities, and they retain their value, which is another good thing.
Yeah.
In some cases, it goes up because things, the trees and everything mature, so it brings extra beauty to it. And they do have a colonial style look to them,
Yeah.
so that it does fit in with the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And like just being so many, a high percentage of owner occupied speaks for itself.
Yeah, it does.
No, it helps everyone. It's, but nothing wrong with a few rentals, depending on people's lifestyle, their situation. It's sometimes necessary, and as we said earlier, it's not inexpensive to rent one of the Fafard condos or any apartment or condo here in Ashland. One of the things you mentioned was the parking and the garages. It looks like all the new units have, and this was the first time I'd ever heard of it, was a Fafard development, tandem parking, and I had to go see for myself many years ago what that meant. And actually, there are some units from way back, I think over in Mountain Gate, where
Side by side.
they're side by side, or as they say in Rhode Island, side by each. And I think that was great, but I think the newer styles, again, it's that tandem where it's one car in and the next family car behind it, or maybe just one car in and a lot left for storage. So it works. I think the families have to be creative, husband and wife, who's going to work first or whatever. Maybe they just each have their own set of keys for each car. But it does work, and a lot of the units have a walkout basement that
Correct.
people either choose in new construction for you to finish, or they can finish it themselves depending on their budget. There are appliance packages that people can choose from, upgrade, whether it's black, white, or then you go to stainless.
Correct.
And granite countertops, like you gotta have granite countertops in today's world. I'm not sure why somebody in the granite business has got us all sold on having to have those pretty stones.
It's a need.
It's a need.
Right.
It's a need.
Can I
Please.
redirect you for a second? You were talking a minute ago about affordability, but I think there's an affordable component to this community, isn't there?
There is an affordable component. When this development was approved at town meeting a number of years ago, there was a commercial component and an affordable component. And this was a local initiative. So unlike a typical 40B where there is 25% affordable component to the development, in other words, 1 out of every 4 built would have to be sold as affordable. In this particular case, it's 1 in every 10 that needs to be sold as affordable. There have been, this development is 5, 6, 7 years old at this point, and I think there have been quite a number, maybe 10 or 15 units sold as affordable.
Can you define affordable?
Well, Boston is a segment of the housing and urban development of the federal government. There's a Boston district. So Ashland falls within the Boston district. So we're actually higher than other parts of the state in terms of what can be charged for an affordable unit. The Department of Housing and Community Development dictates, based on appraisal, based on values, what the Fafard company could charge to sell a new buyer an affordable unit, and that's all done through a lottery. And the Affordable Housing Trust, with the town manager, handles the resales of any of these affordable units. What happens?
affordable?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
What happens in and I'm sorry, Jeff, to go on about this, but I think what I always say about the condominiums here in town, the Fafard condos or condos anywhere, you basically start with a 2-bedroom unit, and it's a young couple, and they move in, they're newly married, or it's their first home, and they have their 1 baby, and that's great. They're in the 2nd bedroom, and then all of a sudden number 2 is coming along, and it's time to go. So that's what happens in general, I think, with the market rate units. And maybe more so with the affordable units because the family unit is more established. You might have 2 incomes as compared to 1. Family has grown. Maybe one of the children is a boy and one's a girl, so that whole second bedroom thing, it's best to move on, look for a 3-bedroom. So that's why we see turnover in general in the marketplace with condominiums, but on the affordable side, it's just as the families grow or a job in another community or another state. That's the job of the Affordable Trust here in town to do the resales. But I think there are, Jeff, if I'm not mistaken, maybe around 6 units coming up in the near future.
Definitely, yeah.
Yep.
We do have some that are waiting for the process to begin, and we will be continuing to build as each phase goes on.
Right. So what's nice, the way the state mandates the construction of the affordable units is that from the outside, somebody walking by, driving by, has no clue as to which unit is affordable and which is not affordable. That doesn't mean they're going to have the nice stainless steel appliances. They might not have the gas inserts. They're not going to have the countertops. But it's, for all intents and purposes, it's the same unit.
Right.
And they can make whatever upgrades they can afford or choose to do as time marches on. But that's one, again, local benefit to the Fafard Company's development here in town, especially over at America's Boulevard. With that 1 in 10. So at some point there'll be a lottery, people will be notified, and
Right here on this show.
right here on the show,
There we go.
exactly. Maybe that's a good idea. That's a good idea. But things seems to be moving along after the tough winter. I see big piles of dirt over there, and some new construction is going on right now, and it's kind of fun to watch it all happen. I'm relatively close by. It's a matter of feet. So I've been taking some pictures and sending them over. Maybe that'll become part of the show.
I think so. I think we're going to post them too.
Okay.
Because it's interesting.
It is interesting.
To
It
watch
is,
those
yeah.
they're
Yeah,
big buildings,
yeah.
to watch them go up.
Right, but it was a tough winter. I mean, it was tough to get
Very
tough to get
cold.
undergo.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah, it was slow building wise, you know.
But you've made up
But,
for it.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, you see it on a daily basis, and I'm sure when you leave in the morning, come back in the afternoon, it's like, wow, they did all that in one day, you know.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
It is.
And look at all that dirt on the windows.
Yeah. It can be inconvenient for a while, but
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's right now that was back in the day. It was a sand and gravel pit.
correct.
And one thing we've been able to enjoy when looking out the good-sized window in the living room is a lot of sky. But as the piles of dirt move around, that view changes, and the wind on a cold winter's night whistles around pretty good. But as the new construction, it gets built, things will change. The environment will change, and as Pam mentioned earlier, there's all kinds of folks walking around with small dogs, big kids, little kids, a lot of different families, and we're enjoying it. And now, I don't know if we touched on this yet, but if someone, aside from all that huge viewership that we have watching this show, how can someone see a unit if they wanted to?
Well, actually, we have open houses Friday through Monday every week, 9 to 5. Also, you could call and set up an appointment anytime, during the week. But, just stop by. You can come in anytime over the weekend, 9 to 5, and
Okay.
be someone there to greet you.
Good.
Excellent.
And it's okay if they're not planning on buying one, isn't it?
No, not at all. I mean, we welcome people to come just to get input.
Right. And they can
because
tell their friends.
That's how we find out what's trending,
Right.
what the trends are. Like, you notice that in the newer ones, there's a lot more hardwood floors.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
like you said, the granite and the stainless steel and things that people are looking for, we can offer.
Perfect. Well, I think we'll wrap it up for today,
Okay.
shall we?
Great.
Please provide input on what you'd like to see. We have a couple of great ideas for shows coming up that I think you'll enjoy very much. But in the meantime, we would love to hear from you at realestate012
No, Pam, it's real estate
real
01721.
@gmail.com.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very
Thank you. It
much,
was my
Jeff.
pleasure. It was nice
Thank
to meet
you.
you.